Show of hands, how many of you have passed by someone who's vaping in public? Likely most of you. And today I'm going to be discussing what the issues with the vaping industry are, and I'm going to be discussing why we need to begin taking action and being persistent with encouraging people to quit vaping. So you may be thinking, why is this important to me? And the reason it's important is because it's starting to affect such a large population of the youth who will be taking care of those older and in the future, as well as not only them but the economies as well. So it can affect very large populations, not just the people who are vaping. And I'm going to be discussing what exactly the vaping issues have been, what the exact problem is. I'm going to be discussing what the causes are, and I'm going to be discussing what the solution can be. So first of all, let's start off with what vaping is. So vaping was originally created with good intentions. So an article from biologyinsights.com from April 28th in 2026 stated that vapes were created in order to decrease the negative carcinogen byproducts that were being inhaled from cigarettes. So this was supposed to be an alternative that would be healthier. But it turns out it's not exactly that, because you're still inhaling very harmful chemicals, and even though it was meant to just eliminate the byproducts of carcinogens, those who are vaping are still being exposed to very harmful e-liquid, which is essentially the syrupy goodness. The vape juice is what it is. So there were studies done that showed that there was negative health effects from vaping, and Dr. Sierra from The Lancet posted a research paper in November of 2024 that stated that there was a connection in vaping and respiratory issues, as well as substance use and poor mental health in youth. So this was pretty negative for the youth population of vapors, and connections were being shown to more negative factors, which shows that vaping in and of itself is not the only negative thing, but there are negative outcomes that follow. Another thing is that the number of adolescents increased that were vaping. So with time, Dr. David Hammond stated in January 2025 in a research paper that there was a substantial increase in youth populations since 2017. So it said that around COVID time, it had declined from 2017 a little bit, but right after that it shot even higher than what the numbers were rising from in 2017. So in 2017 they were going up, 2020 they came down a little bit, but then right after they shot even higher up significantly. And although vapes were made with a good intention originally, as of recent, they've been becoming a problem because there's so many health effects, and it's affecting the youth, essentially the next generation of individuals who will be taking on more prevalent roles in society. That includes like newer political positions, economic positions, all very important positions. So this can not only affect them, but our society as well, and our country. So I was also going to discuss what the essential problem was, and not necessarily the problem, but the causes. So causes include the promotion of the promotional methods used by these vaping companies that are meant to encourage individuals to purchase more product. So vapes were promoted across social media in Singapore, which technically was illegal because Singapore banned the use of vapes for health reasons, because they had already studied the health effects and found that they were negative. So companies were going and having influencers advertise in Singapore, and all across social media it was being shown that vaping was okay, and technically they were illegally selling in their target market, which was the youth, and they're not supposed to sell to those people because there is negative health effects that were found in Singaporean research. And this is wrong because essentially they're doing illegal promotions. I mean, they don't care about the customer or the law. They need to maximize profits is what they're looking for. Another reason that there was, or another promotional method used to encourage the increase of vape use was flavors. So flavoring the vapes themselves was another reason that just society in general was starting to want to vape even more. So Dr. Claremont did some research and posted to theconversation.com on 18th of May in 2026, so earlier this year, that there was names, very exotic names being tied to the vapes. Like the companies were giving exotic names to the vapes to encourage younger audiences to begin vaping, because these exotic names, they were sounding really interesting. For example, there was one that was solar, one was called sapphire, one was called gold, and another one was called fusion. And these flashy names are essentially bringing in that younger audience because these flavors sound cool. I mean, you wouldn't expect vapes to be named like this. You would maybe expect just it says like tobacco flavor, but no, these flavors are being added into the vapes because these companies want more profit. They need more customers, so they're trying to get into the younger consumer base, and by flavoring them, they're able to encourage younger individuals to buy more vapes and increase their profits, essentially. And another researcher, Dr. Nikki Jafarzadeh, in January 2026, found in a study that using candy names in vapes actually had increased appeal to younger audiences. So younger audiences were buying these candy named vapes, and essentially the companies were able to boost profits because more youth were buying the vapes, right? And so these are promotional methods that were used to encourage the use of vapes, and it's just so crazy that companies were going about it in this way because they were technically ignoring the law and they were ignoring consumer health. They're just doing this for the increase of profits, which a lot of companies are seeking profit, but here they're ignoring the health completely of their consumer. Lastly, I want to talk about what our resolution could be and how we could resolve this issue. So, addiction is very difficult to quit, right? And we need to be able to provide tools, effective tools, that'll make those who want to vape or are already vaping to quit before they begin getting very addicted. And even when they are addicted, we need to be, like I was saying, persistent in encouraging the quitting of vaping. So one thing that they could do is change the packages. The packaging is very important because that's what the consumer first sees before they actually have the vape in their hand. And author Ella Pickover stated on Independent Online in September 2025 on the 21st that the packaging change was discouraging to the youth, and the sales started decreasing, and the youth just said overall that it was less interesting. They weren't as the boxes weren't as appealing to them, so they weren't even as interested in purchasing them. Another way that we could resolve the issue of so much of like mass population vaping is by informing individuals of the actual health effects of vapes. So in a study done by Dr. Mohammed Al-Hamdani in the International Journal of Public Health in 2025, he found that the youth that were vaping, they said that as they were being more informed on lung health and overall health and how vaping would affect that, their interest started declining, and those that were vaping began quitting because they were being informed of the actual effects of what they were doing and how it was going to negatively impact them in the future. And just by going about this issue in a way that's not necessarily aiming to attack those who are suffering from this addiction, or those who are vaping right now and currently destroying their health, it's not necessarily a good thing to just start attacking them. We want to try to just encourage them in small ways just to quit. And it's not necessarily usual to see companies that are going to be changing their packaging and their promotional ways. So we as a society have to come together and be persistent in helping these individuals that are vaping to quit, because the companies aren't going to do it. We have to take care of our own society, right? We have to encourage them just to quit. So we've talked about the problem, which is vaping. We've talked about the causes, which are the different promotional ways, and what the resolutions could be. And why this is significant to you and myself is because there will be a whole generation who has already started vaping, and future generations possibly who will vape in the future, that will be taking on these positions that I said, these very important positions, these economic roles. And they're going to be, at least from what the studies were saying, they could pass away more early on. They could develop lung diseases and pass away more early on because of that. And I'd like to leave you off thinking, if there is a continuation in vaping across society, not only in America but internationally, then how will our economy be affected in the future? And will our population decrease all of a sudden out of nowhere? Thank you so much for listening.